Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. We all know that there is a chiyuv of kibbud of aim for children to honor and respect and fear their parents. And the question in Halacha, in Yeridea Siman Reish Mem, is discussed: what is the status al pi din of honor and respect for one in-laws, for your wife's parents, for your husband's parents? Does the mitzvah of kibbud of aim apply there too? So in Shulchan Aruch, as mentioned before in Siman Reish Mem, Seif Chav Dalid, the Mechaber Paskins, Chayev Adam L'Chabed Chamov. A person has a woman has a obligation to show honor and respect to her father-in-law, and a male has a chiyuv to show honor and respect to his father-in-law. Now there is a discussion in the Poskim. Why is there this chiyuv? Is it as an extension of the mitzvah of kibbud of aim, because it's your wife or husband's parents, or is it because they're older people? They're usually older people, they're in-laws, and just like you have to show honor and respect to any elder, you have to show respect for them too. L'may nafkamina, what the reason is. After all, the halacha says that you have to show honor and respect. Who cares? What's the difference? Why it is? It is a nafkamina to show how far you have to go and show their honor. By kibbud of aim, we find that even if a person is sitting in a very honorable seating, and he's amongst honorable person, and a parent of his comes in and starts doing things that it causes an embarrassment, the child has to stay quiet. He has to swallow the embarrassment and not to be chutzpahdik to his parents. That's something that only says by kibbud of aim. If somebody, an elderly person, does this to you, embarrasses you in public, even though he's elderly and you have a chiyuv to show him honor, respect, but under those circumstances you don't have that obligation. So the discussion in Achronim is the chiyuv of the psak din that you have to show honor and respect for a father-in-law. Is it mitzat kibbud of aim, and you have to go have to take it so much and honor him even if he's an embarrassment kvayachol to you, or it's just in the level of showing honor and respect to elders? How do we know that a person has to honor and respect his father-in-law? So you know that from David HaMelech, because by David HaMelech, who was his father-in-law was Shaul HaMelech, because David's wife was Michal. So when David is doing a hesped, a eulogy of his father-in-law, he says Avi. He refers to him as his father, as his parent. And so we see that in certain halacha, father-in-law has a din of a father. Now over there, it seems to be a clear-cut din that it's mitzad kibbud of aim. This is a big machlokes in the Noisei Klei Shulchan Aruch, and some actually find a beautiful lesson in how the Noisei Klei Shulchan Aruch discuss this, because as we find that in this alone there is a machlokes between the Taz and his father-in-law, the Bach. It is clear as day that their opinions are different. It is clear as day that the Taz, the son-in-law, knew that his father-in-law holds different than what he says. V'haraya, because when it comes to discuss the status of showing honor and respect to your mother-in-law, he does quote him that there is a mitzvah midrabanan to show honor and respect to a mother-in-law. It's not in the same level as a father-in-law, but he does quote him. But he does not quote his father-in-law in the halachic issue where he challenges him. And some achrayim say that is exactly what he's trying to show, because it would be a little disrespectful for a son-in-law to argue at his father-in-law's opinion, especially when he's teaching this halacha of you have to show honor and respect to your father-in-law. So he rather just not quote that his father-in-law, that he's arguing on his father-in-law to show him some honor. Now this is a funny explanation, because if you learn your Yeridea, you'll see every few pages you'll find that the Taz clearly quotes his father-in-law and challenges him or argues with him. But perhaps when this halacha, clearly when he's quoting this Inyan of kibud, honor, over here he doesn't want to blatantly fight his father-in-law. There are two interesting stories that I'd like to share with you about this showing honor and respect to your father-in-law. The story was told about the Taz, that the Taz, when he got married, his father-in-law, the Bach, took it upon himself to support him. And the Taz should sit and study Torah. And for his support, he would give him every day meat to eat. All right, I kept him going. One time, the Bach didn't have enough to buy regular meat, so he gave him a lung to eat. Now, the lung is obviously not filling enough, it's not healthy enough. So the Taz, believe it or not, took his father-in-law to Din Torah. And he says, my dear father-in-law, you took it upon himself to support me, to give me meat, and I'm sorry, a lung doesn't do the job. And what was his halachic discussion? A reya is not considered basar. You told me you're going to give me basar, meat. That's not meat. They came to the Dayanim, they came to the Rabbanim. The Rabbanim paskin like the Bach, that he is correct. Reya is just another part of the animal. It's not the better part of the animal, but it is meat, and he could continue if he has to. Just give him lung. And everybody who hears this story says, "What's going on?" The Taz takes his father-in-law, the Bach, for a Din Torah, for giving him. He didn't give him rib steak. It's pastach nicht. So one of the explanations which I brought is the Taz used to learn every single day. This was his life, learning Yom v'Layla. And to stay up and to be able to learn, he needed chayas. So he had his normal meal. When the time came that the Bach couldn't supply him with his normal nutrition, the normal meal, he ate the lung, he couldn't learn as much. It slowed him down a little. Oh, when it slowed him down, min hashamayim, they came and made a kitrug on the father-in-law. They said, look what you did, that there's a slowdown in the learning of his son-in-law. So that was the reason the Taz took his father-in-law to the Din Torah, to show that legally, halachically, he was allowed to do that. And if halachically is allowed to do that, he was able to quiet down the kitrug momayla. That's one story. There's another story that's brought of a chassid that was being supported by his father-in-law for many years to sit in kollel and learn. And the father-in-law was coming on rough times, and he told the son-in-law, I'm sorry, sooner or later you're going to have to leave kollel and find yourself a job. So the chassid went to his Rebbe. The Rebbe was the Sfas Emes, and he says, does this really mean that I'm going to have to stop learning and find a job? And this is my life. The Torah is my life. So the Rebbe says, time has come. Maybe you have to find a parnasa. But let me ask you a question. Does your father-in-law learn? The father-in-law who supports you, does he learn Torah? So he said, no, my father-in-law is a very nice man, he's a righteous person, but he just can't learn. So the Sfas Emes says, let me tell you a phrase that's in the Gemara. The Gemara says, Toli Tanya b'deloi Tanya. It's a phrase which is used that sometimes a Mishnah is quoted. Why would you quote a Mishnah and make reference to something that we never heard about? Tanya, something which is quoted, which is studied, you depend it on something which is loy Tanya. So let me tell you how I will explain this Gemara, says the Sfas Emes. Tali Tanya will give opportunity to the person who studies b'deloi Tanya, for the one that's not studying. And you just continue studying, you will see that the Eibishter will give again your father-in-law to have enough to support you.